Well, it's a huge day of Kentucky Derby points races on Saturday, and it all starts bright and early in the Middle East. It's Dubai World Cup Day, an absolutely stacked card. Features the U.A.E. Derby, which offers 100 Kentucky Derby points to the winner. To preview the race, I'm Andrew Brown, joined by Kaitlin Free. And Kaitlin, this really is one of the great days on the international racing calendar. What are you looking forward to most?
It sure is, Andrew. This is one of my all-time favorite racing days of the year. It kind of matches Royal Ascot, Breeders' Cup, and Kentucky Derby for me. I'm always looking forward to the Dubai World Cup. It's one of my favorite races, but I love kind of just seeing how these horses develop and come over for the UAE Derby. There's definitely always been a little bit of contention, like, are they good enough? Do they run well enough once they get here? And we saw something wild with one of the horses that came over last year. But I think this is as wide open of a year as anything we've seen for the looking forward to the Kentucky Derby. So I definitely think this could be the year that a UAE Derby winner or runner-up could really make some noise. So I'm very excited for this race, and I thought it drew exceptional.
Yeah, some terrific betting opportunities. It's going to be a fantastic Saturday morning of viewing. Let's take a look at the field for the $1 million Group 2 U.A.E. Derby. A number of horses here looking to punch their ticket to Louisville on the first Saturday in May, including a handful of runners from Japan who all have Kentucky Derby aspirations. There's the US contingent, Doug O'Neill, with his duo Tall Boy and RGs, the Bob Baffert trained Worcester, one of the fancied runners, and three-time UAE Derby winning trainer Aidan O'Brien has Cairo, your morning line favourite, at around that 3-1 quote, despite having never been on the dirt in 5 career starts. Kaitlin, let's start with Cairo, who has been getting plenty of dirt kicked in his face behind stablemate Order of Australia and Broome in the mornings this week. What do you make of the chances of the Ballydoyle prospect?
I'm actually really surprised that he was the morning line favorite. They didn't, decide on one of the Japanese horses or even Worcester for the Bob Baffert barn. Really surprising that it is Cairo, but I do agree with you, getting a lot of dirt kicked in his face in the mornings, probably by design. But Aidan O'Brien knows very well how to win this race. This colt reminds me a lot of Mendelssohn from a few years ago back in 2018, who won this race by like 20 lengths. And like Mendelssohn, this horse was last seen winning the Patent Stakes over the all-weather at Dundalk. He's a graded stakes winner on the grass. So he reminds me a lot of that horse. He's never been off the board in 5 stars, so definitely a big danger if he takes to the surface. And this dirt over at Meydan is very, very turf and all-weather friendly. So I think he definitely stands a big shot, and he'll be a horse that I will absolutely be using in my top 3.
All right, what about the 3 American horses, Kaitlin? Tall Boy and RGs, both with recent wins at Meydan for Doug O'Neill, and Worcester only had the 2 runs at Santa Anita and yet to find the winner's circle, but looks to have plenty of raw ability. Could we see an American victory?
I think it might be a little bit of a long shot for the Americans here, although they do bring a strong contingent. If I had to probably side with one of the Americans, it would probably be Tall Boy. Shipped for his last race to the UAE at Meydan for trainer Doug O'Neill. In that last race, he won the Grade 3 UAE 2000 Guineas, which I think is going to be a pretty strong prep headed into this race. He actually broke his maiden in there. Prior to that, finished 4th behind Practical Move in the Grade 2 Los Alamitos Futurity. And of course, Practical Move, probably the biggest hope from California headed to the Kentucky Derby. But the horses behind him in that race kind of left a little to be desired. But this horse likes this track. He's got a very strong jockey aboard in William Buick. He may be a cut below some of the best in here, but I'd say when we look at the American contingent, he's definitely the strongest in my opinion.
Well, I know how bullish you are on Japanese horses and Japanese baseballers for that matter, Kaitlin. Do we find your top pick amongst the Japanese contingent in this race?
I sure do. I am going to be on the horse breaking from gate number 3. That is Perrier. He's really consistent from Japan, as you mentioned. 3 for 4 in his career, and all races have come over the dirt. I really liked his debut at Sapporo. Beat a really highly regarded horse in Yuttingham, who's a actually really sound, very good runner himself. Son of Justify out of a Grade 1 winner in America, Zapesa, who I suspect is probably going to go to the final Japanese Kentucky Derby prep this weekend in the Fukuru Stakes. Yet to be seen, but only lost 2 was Durmo Sadagake, who's also in this race. And that race had a little bit of moisture in the track. Didn't have the best of trips. He's not going to find that this coming weekend. He's going to get a dry track. He won the Hyacinth last time out in very impressive fashion. His turn of foot is so quick, lady. He's got a running style that works really well at Meydan, and distance is absolutely not going to be an issue for him. He's already got points on the Kentucky Derby trail. That helps, and he's paired with a Grade 1 winning dirt jockey in Oisin Murphy, who knows how to use these Japanese horses to beat the Americans. So I'm really, really keen on his chances in there.
Had some good odds there as well from Kaitlin. Who do you like underneath?
I'm definitely going to be using Cairo underneath. I think he just kind of gives me some Mendelssohn vibes. And probably the other one, what I would probably use would be the horse breaking from post position number 8. That is Dura Erarde, grade 1 winner, won the Hopeful Stakes, actually probably the highest rated horse in this race when you kind of look at some of the time form ratings, being the grade 1 winner. But he's got to shake off some dust, hasn't raced since that race in December and is going back to the dirt. He does have the dirt form. He broke his maiden on the dirt. Definitely a good multi-surface type of track here at Meydan. So I think he definitely will have a say. It's a very good race, but those would probably be my top 3. What about you?
All right, yeah, Perrier on top for Kaitlin. For me, I'm going to roll the dice with RGs at what should be some pretty juicy odds. He's drawn well in 4. I like the appointment of Tyler Gaffleone. Should be able to be pretty positive from that inside post position. And I just like the fact he's had 9 starts under his belt too, which is a lot more experience than some of his rivals here, Kaitlin. And you mentioned before the horse Mendelssohn, the 2018 winner we mentioned earlier. That's who he's by. So maybe he can just emulate his father. And another reason why I'm going to roll the dice with something at big odds too is because the TwinSpires is offering up to $10 back on all the races from Dubai on Saturday, including the UAE Derby. Don't forget to opt in to take advantage of that terrific offer available on all races. You can get up to $10 back if the horse you bet to win finishes second. Okay, Kaitlin, let's take a look at the $12 million Dubai World Cup, a Group 1 contested over the 1.25 miles. Now, the top 3 in betting have drawn the 3 widest post positions. We have defending champion and morning line favourite Country Grammar in 14. Outside of him in the widest post position is the Japanese Saudi Cup winner Panther Lassa, and inside Country Grammar in 13 is the second favourite Algiers, who's been a dominant winner in his last 2 spins around Meydan. Kaitlin, it may be 1.25 miles, but with that draw and those post positions, tactics will probably come into play. Do you expect Panther Lassa to be able to get the lead from out there?
I think that's probably about the only option they have, is to try to gun it really early and to try to cross over and get the lead. I thought those post positions severely hurt those 3. Him being the one, I think it hurts the most. He does get the widest draw, and I think it compromises his running style the most. This is going to be a little bit of a longer race than the Saudi Cup, and I think that's also something that scares me a little bit with Panther Lassa. So I'm going to be against him in this race, but I am going to go with another one of the Japanese runners. So I'm going to be looking outside of those big 3 for horses drawn a little bit more inside.
All right, well, we'll get your tip in a second, but let's go and have a look at the Saudi Cup, where a lot of these runners have come out of. Panther Lassa, you mentioned, it's one of an incredible 8 Japan-based horses in this race, and many of them are coming out of this last out effort in the Saudi Cup, where Panther Lassa wired them. Country Grammar, you can see storming home late for second. Kaitlin, based on the way Country Grammar was finishing off the Saudi Derby and the extra distance here, you can perhaps see why he's been installed favourite by the international bookies. Do you agree? Do you think he's a deserved favourite?
I think he is a deserved favorite, and he's proven over the surface. He's a reigning Dubai World Cup winner. Thunder Snow, the only one that's ever gone back-to-back. But I think he's definitely got a strong chance to go back-to-back. He loves the surface. He shook off some dust in the Saudi Cup really well last time out. Of course, it was a shorter distance, so Panther Lassa did have the edge there, but he's stepping up in trip slightly. But they did both draw not the best, drawing those widest gates. But I think it hurts Country Grammar and his running style significantly less than it does Panther Lassa.
Yeah, Frankie Dettori, who's of course on Country Grammar, again rides at a 22.5% win strike rate in the UAE from around 800 rides. This is his last season too, so he'll be looking to go out a winner in the Dubai World Cup. He equaled Jerry Bailey's record last year aboard Country Grammar with 4 World Cup wins, and I'm sure he'll be looking for his 5th. Kaitlin, you've no doubt had a lot of fun going through the form of all these Japanese runners. What nuggets do you have for us, and who's your top selection amongst them?
They really came for broke. I was thinking earlier, when you think of the 27 or 28 horses they brought over to Dubai, I mean, who did they really leave out? These aren't B or C team runners. They brought their complete A team. They brought their horse of the year. They brought the Japan Cup winner. They brought the Japan Cup dirt winner, and they have all of their Kentucky Derby qualifying horses. So they're really going for broke. But I ended up on the horse breaking from post position number 5. That is Vela Azul, reigning grade 1 Japan Cup winner in this race. So this distance is not going to be a problem for him at all. Could be a test for some of the other Japanese runners, as I mentioned, especially Panther Lassa, who was hurt by that wide draw. Multiple dirt winner. He's multiple stakes placed on the dirt. So he's really effective. over any type of surface. And as I said, this is a really turf-friendly dirt course here at Meydan that I think he's really going to like. He's got a great running style for it. He's got a really quick turn of foot, and he's a horse that's really content to stay covered up for most of the race, which is something I really, really like against this field. The jockey can pretty much put him anywhere. He's able to go wide. He's able to go inside. He can split horses late. So really the type of a push-button horse that when finishing up late with some other horses stopping, he should be able to find a really, really good seam, and he's got the form to back it up. Beat Shahryar, the defending Dubai Shima Classic winner last time, or two efforts back in the Japan Cup. So he really just has quality on his side. He's got the distance, and I think he's got the type of running style that can absolutely win this race.
Another value selection from Kaitlin. I should also mention Algiers, who we haven't covered yet. Probably the best chance for a UK-trained runner to win the Dubai World Cup for some time. James Doyle is on board during his final breeze a few days ago, and he's been a convincing winner of his last 2 spins around Meydan, and also will be hard to beat. I notice in a few international books he's starting to challenge Country Grammar for favouritism too. So based on the that could change come race day on Saturday. Does Algiers feature in your second and third selection?
Yeah, I think he's kind of definitely right up there. He's one that I'm absolutely considering as well with Country Grammar. I'm probably going to take a pass on Panthalassa because I think there's just a lot against him in this race. So it would really be between Algiers and Country Grammar, and then maybe kind of filling in with somebody else like Moonlight Bolt, Geoglyph, or Crown Pride, also for Japan. But I'm going to try to maybe take a stab against Panthalassa in this race. But if you like him, I think you're going to get a price on him because there's so much against him here in this race.
Yeah. Well, at the odds, I'm going to go with Cafe Pharaoh with the Magic Man, Joe Moreira on board. I liked his third behind Panthalassa in the last outrun in the Saudi, and he was finding the wire well then, and the extra distance should certainly suit. He's going to get a nice cut into the race behind the speed now with all that speed outside him as well. So Cafe Pharaoh for me. Notice that Joe Moreira, after he finishes up here at the Dubai World Cup meeting, he's going to go and spend 6 weeks down in Australia too, and his farewell tour from riding. He's riding all around the world. Don't forget the bet back opportunity with TwinSpires, offering $10 back on all races from Dubai on Saturday. If the horse you bet to win finishes second, don't forget to opt in there and take advantage of this awesome offer. Kaitlin, before you go, a number of other absolutely incredible races on the card. Do you have any other winners for us?
I would say probably my other biggest stab of the day, aside from these 2 races, is going to come in the Dubai Golden Shaheen. I think we're going to see GII for America take a ton of money, and he's definitely got a big, big chance, but he's also drawn extremely wide in that race. Switzerland for the home team trying to go back-to-back. So I'm going to go with another hot Japanese horse. I just love this whole contingent that they brought. Another horse that, from where I've seen pictures and videos and have boots on the ground over there, a horse that's looked really, really good, and that's going to be Lemon Pop, cutting back slightly in distance here for the Golden Shaheen. They were kind of torn between this race and the Godolphin Mile, and I really think this race suits him a lot better. He's got a great turn of foot, and I think he's definitely going to be the toughest horse going up against these 2 that I've already mentioned in GII and Switzerland. There's some other really good local runners coming in. We have a couple other American runners coming in, CZ Rocket and Sibelius. Sibelius drawn in on the rail. Don't love that, but I'm going to go with Lemon Pop. I thought he drew decent, and hey, he's in excellent form.
And it sounds like you're tipping a big day for the Japanese once again here on Dubai World Cup Day. Good luck with all your selections. I've got a couple of others. I really like Sight Success in the 6 furlong sprint on the turf. I think it's race 3 on the card. Hong Kong back with a few runners this year after a lack of representation over the last few years. And he's just a little bit below the likes of your Lucky Swayness and Wellington in Hong Kong. So should be right up in this race up to his ears. And in the Dubai Gold Cup, obviously Subjectivist is going to be hard to beat, but I like Broome at some decent odds if he can reproduce a little bit of his Royal Ascot or Breeders' form, and Ryan Moore goes on. Well, Kaitlin, thank you so much for your time and all your insights, and good luck with all of your selections on Saturday.
Likewise to you too. It's definitely going to be a huge night of racing all across the world. It's going to be an exciting one for us with all these Derby preps too.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for watching. Good luck with all of your bets, both internationally and domestic, on what's going to be a huge day of racing at TwinSpires on Saturday. And we'll see you next time here on TwinSpires TV.